Today's hiwatt soundbite is all about creative mastering. All right, in today's session, I want to talk about creative mastering and mastering in general. You know, mastering is something I was sort of forced into a little bit. And let me explain that. I mean, you know, back in the day when I was producing records with, major labels, it was not uncommon for the label to send me out to like Portland, Maine and master a record with Bob Ludwig. That was a wonderful experience and something that I will never forget. But it just isn't the reality today. In my experience and the types of projects that I work on, the budgets just aren't there anymore to have that kind of extravagant experience. So being tossed into this game of mastering, I had to learn a lot of stuff and I had to make a ton of mistakes. And, admittedly, I flattened out so many of my own project mixes. I mean, I've talked about this in other videos, but I would spend so long mixing a song and then just kill it. I would just flatten the thing with a limiter. So I really had to learn and get around that whole volume war thing, all of that business that was going on. And it was a great experience. And what I've actually come to learn is that mastering today is like one of the most fun things I do. It's something that I truly look forward to. And I actually very much enjoy mastering other people's projects because I don't know about your experience, but it feels to me like it's an opportunity to literally draw from just about everything I've ever learned about audio and engineering. And so why wouldn't I be excited to be like mastering? It's today's subject. I want to talk about not being afraid to be creative when the chance arises. Like, my experience for the most part was that mastering was always supposed to be so subtle and like you're not really supposed to mess with the guy's mix, but just enhance, bring it up, all that stuff. There are opportunities and situations where that's absolutely true, where I literally try and be as subtle as I can. But there are other times that I'm so heavy-handed. If I feel I'm working on a track that can benefit from some of the madness that can go on with processing, like, some of the artifacts left over from really radical compression can be totally cool in the right kind of song. So as part of today's session, I'm going to spend some time looking at a mastering session, and we'll spend time going back and forth between the unmastered version and the mastered version. In this particular case, this is very heavy-handed. This is definitely not something I do for every project, but this particular track really felt like it needed a boost of energy. And what's great is the mix was very well done. And what I found when I first started listening is it sounded like stuff was just under a cloak or something, this kind of dark cloak. As soon as I started to open it up, the mix just started jumping out of the speakers and all these details popped out. It's very, very cool. So let's have a listen to the mastered version. Every 2 bars, I'll switch back to the unmastered and back to the mastered. You'll see that I've increased the gain of the unmastered version by about 5.5 dB just to do some level matching. But check this out. Okay, so in this particular case, what I want you to kind of focus on is just listen to that string line that's going on in that breakdown. I'll go back again and I'll play the mastered version first. Actually, in this particular case, let's play the unmastered version first and listen to that string part. And mastered. So you hear what it's doing. There's so much pumping and breathing going on that it enhances a number of parts in the track that weren't enhanced before. And it's like, so that's kind of a great example is that this is obviously extreme processing, but in this particular track, it really bumped up the energy of the song. And the artist ended up loving it. I love the result. And, I encourage you to do the same thing. Open up tracks, Go heavy with stuff. Well, thank you for sitting in on today's session, and I encourage you to please leave a comment or by all means share a topic that we can do a whole session on. And if you like today's session, please consider subscribing to my channel.